Well, welcome.
And welcome, my beautiful sister. And welcome, everyone.
And what I will say is I will be doing much of the talking, so even in this introduction part. So because Kerry's got a lost voice, we'll find it somewhere.
Yeah, it comes and goes.
Well, thank you for still being here, my dear soul sister, and for still holding space for this. And I love the theme that you have intuited for today. So if you want to share what that theme is.
Yes, well, all the last 2 weeks, I've just had DNA coming up in my mind and messages from the guides. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be around DNA.
Yeah.
And then as of last night, as those last little bits drop in as we're preparing, it came up, we are all multi-dimensional beings. So I think that ties together really well with the DNA. And
Yes.
yeah, I'd love to see where we get taken on this journey of
Me
DNA
too.
and multi-dimensional.
Yes. Well, we got a couple of your questions so they'll be answered in today's format. So it's a great reminder for people if they want to submit questions, they can either contact you or me, and we can answer those questions in subsequent recordings. But in today's session, we are going to be speaking with the Keepers of the Keys, of course, as usual. And for those who are not familiar with the Keepers of the Keys, they're a group of 12 healing angels from the libraries of light, and the Akashic records are one of those libraries. And so they will anchor in, as they always do, these sessions. Might be picking up on you. So they'll come in at the beginning, but also just towards the end to close off the session. And then we have two other guests, as we usually do. This time we have Mother Isis, who I feel will come in second. So Mother Isis, some will know her as Lady Isis or the Goddess Isis. She's some you would think of her as the Egyptian goddess Isis, but you may think of her as an emanation of the Divine Mother. And when we can understand that the Ascended Masters, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, were both high priestesses of Isis, you can really understand what lineage we're tapping into. And as a light being, she's very connected to that Sirian lineage that connected into the star Sirius. And that theme will continue with Sha'Ra, my Sirian guide, who I'll be channeling for the first time ever. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes through in those, in the channelings, in the discussions that are going to be unfolding here today. So I kind of trust that they have the plan for us. You've tapped into it by bringing through the theme of we are multidimensional beings, and I certainly agree that we are. I love that theme. And what I will also say, there's actually interesting connection with Sha'Ra to the retreat where we first met. So so I thought you would enjoy this.
Yeah.
I think it was the week of just before the retreat, and I wasn't quite sure if I was going to make it. It had difficulties, with my son and getting babysitting for a whole week. I hadn't left him for that amount of time, actually, before or since, to be honest. So it really was a once-off opportunity. And my sister kindly kind of came to the rescue and said she'll stay in our house. And they made it a bit of a holiday of it, and I was able to look after Ethan. Now, in that week prior to that, once that was settled, I remember being in the bathroom and then receiving the message along the lines of, I can't remember if she said her name. I think she did. I am Sha'Ra, And I'm now connecting with you because you're now stepping up into the next phase of your development. And so that was interesting, is that the commitment to go to that retreat helped me to evolve into the next phase of my development. And so she's part of ARIA, as is Mother Isis. So ARIA being the symphony of light that connects with me and helps me to do energy sessions, energy healing. And but when it comes to, while Mother Isis can be far more active in the actual healing work, sometimes she may even take over at certain times, but I find only with certain people if they have a direct lineage to her.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, and usually for specific purposes. But with Sha'Ra, she is not so much connected with the healing work that I do, even though she's part of that collective. It is more about bringing wisdom through. And she is connected to the Sirian master teachers, and I believe she is one. And I think now she's going, that's enough. The rest she will share with that. So she, you know, I think it's exciting to have her. I was a bit nervous in, again, publicly doing this for the first time. Well, you know, you'll get to watch along with me. So that's a bit of a description, you know, how she first came through, and that was the end of 2017, and has been with me ever since. And since then, her kind of like a masculine partner has come through and has been with her energy or connected to her energy, but she's been really supportive of me personally.
And Vicky, I was just thinking about Mother Isis. She's connected to the Magdalene energy as well.
Yes, she is.
Which you and I are very connected to again on that another level.
Yes, if you understand Mary Magdalene's lineage as the high priestess of Isis, the word Magdalene, they believe, means a watchtower. And so they are watchtower women or watchtower beings. And what is a watchtower? It's like the lighthouse. Yeah. So it's tall, it's connected to the light, it brings in through a higher perspective. They are teachers, they are masters. And so you can have this whole Magdalene lineage that is not just connected to Mary Magdalene. And she has said that to us herself, is that there's a collective around that supports that whole Magdalene lineage. And definitely the Magdalene lineage, I feel, connects all the way back to Solomon and Sheba. So we're going all the way back, you know, all the way to Ethiopia and Jerusalem. So you got the Temple of Solomon, Jerusalem, and there was a temple in Ethiopia where, you know, Sheba was the queen and high priestess at that time. And she famously, it's actually written in the Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs. And it's about a divine love story between Sheba and Solomon and how they come together. And it's a real balancing of the divine feminine and masculine in that place. And even the columns said within the Temple of Solomon are said to represent the feminine and the masculine, as is the black and white mosaic tiling, the white and the black, the yin and the yang. So that lineage comes all the way through. And so you see that connection with the divine feminine Egypt, and with the Hathors, with Mother Isis, and you can really see Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene embody this while they were physically human. And this is why they are so well known to us, is because they were able to embody this lineage and we are able to benefit from their example.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're ready to set up. We're set up for success.
Set up for success. We'll let the keepers set us up for success. I'm going to have a sip of my tea. And I'll bring them through. We are more than happy to set you up for success. So welcome, dear ones. We welcome you, Carrie, Vicky, but all of you watching in the eternal moment of now. And we want to lay the basis of what is going to unfold today. And we are happy to work within the parameters of your theme today, that you are multidimensional beings. And indeed, we all are.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Now, this is a big topic. Let us say it is multidimensional, a bit tongue-in-cheek. But let us begin with your DNA, since that is what kept coming up for you. And indeed, your DNA is multidimensional. Your multidimensional not only has the 2 strands, but 12 strands. And within your multidimensional DNA, you hold your Akashic records, and you hold the energetic imprint of your divine blueprint. Now, if you can understand, and this is, we'll get a little bit technical, but then we'll go a bit more general so that you can understand the basis, the premise of all of this here, is that you have the actual genes themselves, and then you have proteins that sit on top of these genes. So the DNA being the actual genes, and then you have RNA and molecules that sit on top. So what these molecules do is they control the expression of the DNA. So you might think of the actual DNA as being the hardware and the molecules sitting on top as the software, the programming, controlling which genes to be turned on or off, when, and how they will be expressed.
Mm.
So this can have effects from your environment. In other words, because when you understand, and there's a whole branch of understanding in science called epigenetics, the epi being the reference, the sitting on top of. So this is what can change. The hardware doesn't change, the software changes. So what programs you're running on computers would change. So you can upgrade to a new software program, just as you upgrade your energy. And you can access more files when you, say, receive a download. And you may think of releasing and healing trauma as clearing viruses from your computer. Now, this is a simplistic analogy, but you may begin to understand how this may influence. So your environment being not just your physical environment, as in, any chemicals you may ingest, although that is part of it, but the relational environment of people around you play a very big role in shaping your epigenetic expression of your genes, of your DNA. So we've just limited that to, say, a scientific premise. Now, when you understand there are 12 strands, you may then begin to understand the picture of them being more of a multidimensional expression holding potentials for you, just as the divine blueprint holds potentials for you. So potential expression, when it is in your best and highest good to do so. So when you have this broader understanding, then you can understand that when the scientists call a lot of the DNA junk DNA, it is more that they have not yet discovered what that DNA does. And so when only a small, and they're saying, 95% approximately of the DNA is junk DNA. So, and the scientists thought that when they were going to map out the DNA, they would have all the answers to your physical bodies. And sadly, they discovered that wasn't the case. Mm. There is so much more going on here, dear ones. Mm. So multidimensional, if it holds your Akashic records within your multidimensional DNA, that means imprints from across lifetimes are held within your multidimensional DNA. It also means that if you've got the energetic imprint of a divine blueprint, it is holding potentials for your future in your multidimensional DNA. So time is no longer relevant in this instance when it comes to your multidimensional DNA. Yet you get to choose through the power of your intention what you wish to express. When you become the force of the environment that helps to focus the epigenetics to support the expression of something held within your divine blueprint, that's when you can become masters not only of your bodies, but of your lives. So that is one basis for you as your multidimensional selves. You then may understand that you're more than your bodies. And your energy field extends beyond your bodies. That your soul contains your bodies, not your body containing your soul. So let us zoom out now. Let us zoom out to your higher selves. You may think of them as light beings. You may even think of them as angelic beings, for that is what they are. They are true sparks of the Creator, holding the Creator's light and stepping forth in a form of individuation from the Creator for a specific purpose. The purpose being to support you on your physical journeys through life. Now, if you can zoom out to the higher self perspective, this is the whole of you. And like any light being or angel, can be anywhere at any time. So there is no space or time that is limited, that limits your higher self. But then the higher self will choose where to transmit and project their energy into the physical. And so a portion of them steps down, transduces into the physical and interfaces with your physical bodies. That is the light you are connected with. And the more you clear your bodies and your energy centers and the energy channels, the more trauma you clear from your bodies, the more light can be held within your bodies. This is the process of enlightening. And in other words, more of your higher self becomes integrated with your human self This is the integration of human and divine. So you are more than what you are here. You are truly multi-dimensional. So when you have gone to a place of mastery within your physical bodies, there will come a time, it's not to say that some won't volunteer subsequent lifetimes, but there will come a time when you will no longer choose to be physical. And then you will ascend and unite with your higher self, and that is your whole self. Just as Yeshua ascended into Sananda, you may see that as the same process. And then become the whole of you, as in all your experiences, and can hold the consciousness of that all at the same time. Now in your physical bodies, your human minds can't conceive of all of it. And even when you access different past lives, there's still a limit to how much you can access at any given time. Whereas from your higher self perspectives, you can hold it all because you are multidimensional and have no limitations placed upon you by the physicality of your physical bodies, as wondrous as they are.
So just something you said there about that we might choose not to come back physically and merge with our higher self. I was always under the impression that we merge when we cross over, we merge with our higher self and make that decision to come down. So is that a bit?
That is a good question. This is part of the mystery of the crossing over. For the crossing over is multidimensional in and of itself. You cross over, you meet all the people and the loved ones from the earth plane you just left, including those who are still living, because there is no time and space. Now, when you first cross over into, we call them the astral realms, you still hold the imprint of the emotional, mental, as well as spiritual bodies of the personality that is you. You're not then fully integrated with your higher self. You go through a process of healing and review of your lifetime, and any healing from trauma, depending on how you died, what you have carried from that lifetime into the other side of the veil. You may then enter into a space of learning and wish to do further study before you choose to become physical again. Now, in this process, you still remain individuated from your higher self.
Okay.
But you have greater access to your higher self. There is a greater degree of merging, but there is still an imprint, a distinction is the better word. Now, your higher self is then fully involved in that review process, but also in developing the soul's plan and divine blueprint for a subsequent lifetime. So any choices made from the astral realm are then therefore made together with your higher self and with the councils of light. So are you fully merging back. No, you have not ascended. And this is the difference between an ascended master and those who have crossed over.
Yeah.
So you cross over into the astral realms. An ascended master will bypass the astral realms and go straight into the higher realms. So when we talk of the higher realms, this is where angels are, where ascended masters are, where light beings are. The astral realms carry spirits, small s, not spirit, big S. And your higher selves is of big S spirit.
There you go. That's put a lot more into perspective.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, dear ones. Now we know you have questions.
Yes, you've been reading my mind again. I was just thinking I'll introduce the questions now. Okay. So we've got 2 viewer questions.
Yep.
Would you like me to give you both of them? And
one at a time.
One at a time? Okay. So the first one was, can you please give us a few key words to help us ground the most helpful vibrations for all?
Yes. When you understand the power of words, there is magic held within them. Now, each word holds a vibration. And you can understand that certain words, of course, carry a higher vibration than others. And you can know this by even how you feel when you speak the words. We'll go even beyond that and say certain words spoken with true playfulness that even some would not like. And we're talking about swear words, for example, spoken in joy can carry still that element and the energy of joy, and holds a very different vibration to the words spoken in anger and rage, even in mockery, in belittling another. For ultimately, it's all about, is the word within the consciousness of love? Joy is in the consciousness of love.
Yeah.
Peace is in the consciousness of love. Balance and harmony is in the consciousness of love. Of course, love is in the consciousness of love. Now, when you can use words to anchor, to ground this into your reality, you may set your intentions, and this is going to tie in with what we previously spoke about, how you can help reprogram your epigenetics through your intentions, repeated over time. It's not enough for once, but the more you focus on that intention, the more powerful it becomes, the more momentum it gathers. Now, in software terms, more code is written. So with the intentions of being in love, embodiment is one of those words too, embodying love, kindness, compassion, laughter, joy, fun, playfulness, lightheartedness, companionship, as you have right there with your pets, cuddles, cuddly, hugs, anything that conveys a positive feeling in your body will ground this into your reality. For then your body shifts into a state that is then in alignment with the consciousness of love. And as you are in vibrational alignment with the consciousness of love, you are then drawing into you more experiences within the consciousness of love, and begin to rewrite the epigenetic code for the consciousness of love to permeate your multidimensional DNA. So you can have greater and greater access, not into this state of being, but so that you become embody this state of being. So it is not just a state that is temporary, but it's just who you are. So play with words and see what feels good to you. For you may have words in your own language if you speak another language. And some words, even that language, will feel better than other words in English. So know that the words themselves, while important, it's the intentions behind the words that are truly what creates the magic. So that is when words become spells. In other words, powerful intentions that move energy.
Yeah, I love that answer. And when I'm teaching, I quite often get people to write the words in the chain on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it, read swords.
Swords.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Swords. So it's like the energy you put behind the words and the choice of words can either uplift you or bring you down.
Yes.
And I totally agree with the whole energy behind the words, because I'm quite well known for dropping the F-bomb in joy in conversation, because it does, and it lifts the energy then of everyone else can relax then in a group.
Yes.
Once one said it, and it's like, oh, okay, we can be ourselves. Because it was said in joy, we can be joyful along with this person.
We can say that those words are not universal to everyone. So, and this is why we recommend people finding what feels good for them, because it may not feel good for them to say that. So we do not recommend in those circumstances. But we are explaining that the intention and the vibrational state that the words are stated are important. And sometimes, if not more than important, at least as equally important as the words themselves.
And what about the importance of saying, like, sometimes we do slip some of those words out in anger.
Yes.
So for me, I feel like it's healthy to get it out.
Yes.
But then to move forward onto the, okay, I've got that out now, what am I going to do to bring myself in the space I'm in back up to a positive place again?
Yes. We'll give an important distinction. Now, if you say those words as a form of attack on another person in anger, and it's very different to you've hurt yourself and you've now said it in anger or pain.
Yeah.
And it's not intended to attack anyone. So it may still be in the energy of anger, but there's a huge vibrational difference between the two. Because when you're doing it to personally attack somebody else, then that is passing on pain to another. We have seen words used to attack another, and words can, because of the power that being like spells, psychically attack another. So this is why the energy of gossip and talking about somebody else is not in the consciousness of love and does harm to the person speaking it as well as to the harm to the person being spoken of. This is where you people, like the two of you, use your energy protection processes so that you're not subjected to somebody randomly speaking about you. Now, we want to be clear, that is a very big difference. So we would encourage strongly that if you are in anger and you are observing yourself falling into a state where you are swearing at another person, this is the time to step away and move into any form of self-regulation that will support you to calm down before you come back together to resolve any disagreement. In that energy, that is not the energy to resolve anything. Now, of course, if you are being physically unsafe or unsafe in any way, we are not saying give in, give up, submit to that other person. Seek your safety. Move away where you can. And in those circumstances, it is best to agree to come back at another time to resolve an agreement. Now, this is best done before you are angry, as having relationship rules of engagement. And if you do not like rules, guidelines, it's like we know that we're going to get angry with each other at some point. So when we are angry and you do this or I do this, let's agree that we will take a time out. And that is important because some people cannot, well, let us say, find it difficult to allow another to walk away from an argument. They feel they must resolve it then and there. That is usually people who go into a fight mode when they're stressed. Then there are other people who go into a flight mode or a freeze mode when they're stressed. They're the ones that are going to want to leave or they're going to shut down. It is not helpful to them to remain in that environment. So we wanted to just be clear on that. And we're not going to go into further detail, although there could be a lot more detail that we could say on that. But in terms of you've stubbed your toe, you've sworn, we see no harm in that. Let us say, let's take it one step further. Something has happened and you're really angry about it. You want to swear. Usually, you check your environment. Are you at work? Are you around children? Are you on a train or a bus with strangers around you? In other words, you can do some degree of filtering about if it's right to swear right then and there. And if not, take the time afterwards to discharge the energy of anger so you're not holding it in your bodies. If you are refraining from swearing, thinking that is more virtuous, yet you are keeping the energy of anger in your bodies, you are doing yourself more harm than good. So you may want to walk around the neighborhood or go into your backyard or somewhere in nature and swear as much as you want. Know that any environment that you're in that is not in nature will carry the imprint of that anger and those swear words. So if you're in your homes or in your vehicles, you must clear the energy afterwards. Otherwise, that energy will come back to bite you. So be aware of your environment, where you are, the context in which you're in. Do what you need to do to discharge that energy from your bodies. Forgive yourselves for swearing if you do not like it. And then choose again in a different way. So then you can easily shift your energy once you have released and discharged the anger, and perhaps anchor yourselves back into more positive words. You may not be able to jump from anger into joy, but you may want to hold on to or anchor into peace, balance, harmony. And they may be words to anchor into as ways to move further into the consciousness of love.
Yeah, I love that. At work the other day, I actually got a message from someone that used to be in my life, and it was very upsetting. And I went, oh, it's such a, and I just went quiet because I'm in an office with 2 other girls that I'm just meeting.
Yes.
And I went, were you going to swear? Because they've never heard me swear. Were you going to swear? And I wasn't. Well, let it out, girl. So I did. And the whole office, just 3 of us just burst out laughing. And it was dissipated.
Yep, shifted the energy.
Yeah, and they went, all right, we've got you back. You're good to go. And off I went back to work, and we all went back to work laughing, and we actually bonded more.
Yes.
Through that experience.
Yes.
But I'm glad I was with them. If I had it happened at home, I would have been walking around going, all right, rolling over what in my head, what happened, and what was I going to do then to protect myself and my children from that. Going. But,
so it helped you shift out of that energy.
Yeah, and it was like seconds of from oh my God to oh everything's fine. That's silly. I shouldn't even be worrying about that.
Yes.
Yeah, and it lost the charge. The message lost its charge instantly.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect example.
Yeah. And it's funny you bring up the pets. I know you know, but my Jack Russell's sitting on my lap and he's starting to snore. I think that's not coming over.
We cannot hear it from Vicky's end. What we will say is that we'll forgive him for any snoring.
It's funny, every time we do these channelings, I've got the cat over there and the dog here, they come straight in, they track to the energy.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we ready for our next question?
Ready.
All right, keepers. What are the key vibrations we, and in brackets the light workers, close brackets, should focus on to enable more co-creation?
This ties very much into the previous question.
Yes.
So anything that's within the consciousness of love will be supported. Now, those words that we spoke previously of peace, balance, harmony, joy, playfulness, lightheartedness, expansion. Oh, that is a delicious word. All that fits within the consciousness of love. And so if you're looking for those key vibrations, those words can be a portal into those vibrations. Now, we know that for many of you, you are thinking of 5D or fifth dimensional consciousness. We have spoken before that we prefer the term the consciousness of love, for it is more descriptive of that fifth dimensional consciousness. So we'll give you some synonyms for this, because let us say some people, many people have gotten confused about what 5D is. So let us go into descriptive words and synonyms so that you can more accurately pinpoint into this energy. You may connect with the consciousness of Gaia. You may connect into, of course, the consciousness of love. You may connect into Christ consciousness. That is 5D and beyond. You may connect into unity consciousness. The understanding that you are all connected. Wisdom, the consciousness of wisdom. Is another. Light and all the wonderful rays of light, and the colors of the rainbow, just as you have depicted behind you. You can think of the rainbow frequencies. So you may choose then to focus on a specific frequency brought through by one ray of light. And indeed, it is a particularly useful way of doing it while you're in physical bodies. For it is the diamond light that holds the frequencies of all the light, now differentiated into all the individual frequencies. And you may go into all the color rays and then see how whatever it needs, whatever you need rather, is then drawn out of that frequency for you to receive it in your body. And then you may realize and understand that you are drawn to particular colors at certain times because you are needing their frequency.
Yep.
And so realize that here you have a play with both light and sound. They are the energetic mediums through which the consciousness of love vibrates through. You might understand crystals as crystallized light. And understand the divine as holding certain frequencies. You may connect to it the whole, to direct to your creator, the great central source, or you may feel that you need to connect to an individuation, a particular expression of the divine, just as you'll be doing as you speak with your upcoming guests. So there are many different ways to tap into certain frequencies as light workers. And it is by understanding what is it that you are here to do, to bring through, and to be. For some, they are very ready and very well suited to connect into Gaia and the earth frequencies and bring through her medicine in that way. For others, it is with spirit animals, although that's very connected. And still connected is the elemental beings. So the tree spirits, the fairies, the elementals connected with crystals, and the divine consciousness of crystals. For you may vary from the elementals to the angelic. For others, they're connecting to the astral realms and speak with spirits. And in this case, we would say, this is where at these levels, you still need to be careful at what you're connecting into. Then for others, again, they're connecting to the higher realms. And that is what they bring through. So we'll use Vicky as the example. She does not connect to spirits, although she can feel them and sense them. It is not her calling to be a medium, even though she has mediumship abilities. And she's closed that door, even though she'll allow us to be the intermediary in some cases. The choice is to connect into the higher realms, because if you can understand, you can hold a certain bandwidth within your body. And if you try to stretch that bandwidth too far, and you go up and then you go here and then you go there, it may be too much for your body to adjust. So for her, her bandwidth is into the higher realms, and her gift is about bringing it into her physical body. Now, notice that she's also working with the crystal kingdom, very much of the earth frequencies. This is the support to her embodiment. It's a very good vibrational match in that instance. That may not be suitable for others. Others may not be drawn to crystals at all.
Mm.
Others are very naturally drawn to the elementals. And let us say, you may receive much wisdom, joy, and love from the elemental beings. Do not judge where they are at. In other words, do not think that they are not of the higher realms and therefore not as good as. We are all part of the kingdom of heaven. It's just that some are closer to the physical realms for a specific purpose. So if you connect in with their purpose, then you are a vibrational match to their energy. So one is not lower or higher, even though they're got the higher and the words. We want to help you understand that the language limits us in our transmission to you. So as multidimensional beings, you may connect into the multidimensional transmission that you are receiving to receive the truth behind our words. And then you'll come to your own understanding also. What we will say as light workers, if you're a light worker, you're here to hold the light. You're here to remind others of their light, not through your words, but through your example. Now, for you must understand, there have been enough people throughout history who have been do as I say, not as I do, who have held high office within religions and leadership positions all around the world. This is not what we are speaking of. Our light worker is a leader of the light and will find their own unique way of holding that light and expressing that light. And that ultimately is your journey to discover what is it for you to express within these physical time, space, reality as the multidimensional beings that you are.
Yeah, I love that, because like there is so many different vibrations, or what I call it frequencies.
Yes.
We can tap into, and I know that one of my processes is bringing that energy into my heart.
Yes.
And then I send it out like ripples in every direction, like a ripples in a pond.
Yes.
For me, say I was sending someone love.
Yes.
I would see rose pink coloured quartz ripples going out, and I actually can send them down phone lines to the person listening on the other line. Or
wonderful.
And it's just that one single process repaired bridges between my mother and I when we had a falling out many years ago.
Yes.
And just sending those ripples of love and tapping into that vibration and then taking it through my heart and then sending it back out into the universe is one tool that I've found very powerful in everything that I do.
Yes. Let us say Vicky did a very similar process when she was still working in child protection.
Yeah.
And was experiencing some challenges. You know, there are always challenges within child protection by the very nature of the work that it is, but also within the relationships with people who work within there, including upper management. And what she began to do is exactly that same process in sending that heart energy, bringing through the light through her body, filling up her heart first. She would also call in, at the time, Yeshua and Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene to support her, and her guides. And then when she was really filled up with that energy, send that energy out into her day, into the offices, wherever she may be, to the people. And it began to transform the relationships and her experience there. It did not change the fact that she was meant to leave that environment, and she did not long thereafter. But her experience of that was very different than if she had not done that in the first place. And what we will say, and this is something that she was intending to do last night, but didn't get around to it, is doing a meditation before she went to bed and sending it out into her day in advance.
Yeah.
So it is another way of setting your intentions, because you are sending out the energy of love out into your day, into your world, into the people that you will come across. So you're setting intentions, and not only are you setting intentions for yourself, you are spreading the light of love wherever you go. And that is a powerful way to be a light worker in the world, regardless of the work, the outward work that you are doing. Whether you are working as a stay-at-home parent, or you are working in an office and a job you love or a job you hate, that process will support you. And it is a way, as light workers, you begin to shift the energy. And you may do this to institutions, governments, and organizations, whole planets. Yes, ultimately. And see what works for you. Is it easier for you to do that when you think generally as a planet, or is it easier for you to do when you focus on a particular being, structure, organization, building, etc.? See what is yours to do. See how it shows up for you. And particularly when you are consistent with this on a daily basis, this will change your experience.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm hoping we've collectively answered the questions clearly and offered some guidance in that respect.
We welcome these questions.
Yeah.
Now, what we will say is we'll cap off our discussion and our input into we are all multidimensional beings.
Yes.
And step back for Mother Isis to come through. Okay. what we will share here, and it ties in with the previous two questions, but also in the broader theme, that when you understand yourselves as multidimensional beings, you are not just the you experiencing something in your physical environment and this physical time-space reality. When you understand yourselves as multidimensional beings, you can understand that you have a power you can access that is beyond the small you that you may perceive yourselves to be. And therefore, instead of despairing about the state of the world, you may then ask, what can I do about it? Is it for me to take action? Is it for me to begin first because I may be overwhelmed by what actions should I take? To begin there and shift, if not someone else's vibration, shift my own out of fear, out of disempowerment. We will say not necessarily out of anger, because sometimes it is the anger that propels you into action. The anger can be useful. It demonstrates to you where your boundaries have been violated, where an injustice has occurred. For if you are apathetic in the face of injustice, then you are part of the problem. So when you can hold the frequencies of love and share this outwards, let us be clear, after you have filled yourselves up, do not do this from an empty cup, dear ones. And for those who are struggling, then whether you're a light worker or no, then your greatest task is to support your own energies and to fill yourself up with the vibration of love. And it does not matter how long this may take. Do not judge your process. It may be exactly what you need. And then when you come out the other side, you will have a clarity and a reserve and a strength that you did not know you could access previously. So in that case, if you are filled up, your cup is full, then you may share outwardly that which you have within. And your vibration and energy will shift about it. And then the consciousness within the collective will begin to shift. Now, we are not saying that it is enough to sit back and only do that. Though if you do nothing else, do that. You may need to speak about it, express about it. You may need to take action on it. Each stage will have perfect divine timing for you about what it is that you are ready for, called to, and allowing in serving the greater collective of humanity. And sometimes that can be too big. So focus on one thing or helping one person or tackling one issue. And then you keep showing up.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dear ones. Do not take too seriously your role as light workers. Know that there must be joy for you. That it is, in fact, almost radical to claim your joy, to play, to rest, to care for yourselves. And sometimes that is the greatest disruption to energies that you do not like than anything else, because you are changing an old pattern, an old programming from the old earth, that you are only hold value when you are productive. Be kind to yourselves, dear ones. Remember to treat yourselves with love, with kindness, and with compassion. Otherwise, you will be out of balance with the consciousness of love. As within, so without. Hold these frequencies within yourself for yourself, even as you spread this light of love out into the world. And so it is. I feel that was so beautiful. Just wanted to share that. I just felt like I had to share that before I called in Mother Isis.
Okay. Water.
Yes, about to do that.
I move this dog. I'm going numb. Mate, you're going to move over a bit. That's the boy. That's it.
Okay. Vicky's needing to have her eyes closed as she adjusts. There she is.
Hello and welcome.
Welcome to you and to all of you. I am Mother Isis. You may call me what you will. Mother Isis, Isis, Lady Isis. Titles do not bother me, faze me. I'm here to be with you all. And I'm here to express myself through this vehicle so that I may be with you and express with you. You may say, not from ancient times past, but very present, very current, very active, very connected to the whole of humanity. And like any aspect of the divine, ready, eager, willing to support you all. Now, you may understand me as an Egyptian goddess. Let us unpack that term. Now, this can confuse people. Does this mean that you're being pantheistic when you are connecting with gods and goddesses instead of the one God? Let me say that there is the one Father, Mother, God that is the creator. And yet we are many emanations of him and her, of them united as one. And so we all do their work. So a goddess being a female emanation of the Father, Mother, God, and a small g God being a masculine emanation of the same. So instead, you may prefer the term light being. This does not denote a hierarchy. It just says that we are all part of the one. And we all serve the one. And to the one we will all return. Was I very active in Egypt? Yes. Am I active still? Broadly, yes. I do not go against your free will if those who do not wish to connect with me, mostly because of fear or ignorance, or the preference to connect to the divine in other ways, all is fine. It is not my judgment. It is more my honor, my privilege to be connected when you are willing to do so. I'm very connected to the Sirian energies. And on one level, you may think of this as my origin. Is it my ultimate origin? No. As I said, all of us came from the one. And yet it is, think of it as a base of operations, if you will. A place to step down from and connect. And if you understand that the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids and the structures to connect directly with the wisdom teachers of Sirius, then you can understand why I was so active there. You may also understand that I was very much connected with the temples of Atlantis and supported the dispersion after the fall from Atlantis across to Egypt and wherever else the Atlanteans went, and the 12 tribes all around the world. Now, more broadly, what is it I do? Vicky shared a channeled post from me this morning. And I described myself as you described me, as being connected to magic, manifestation. What I will also say, people connect me with healthy sexuality. And let me say more broadly, that is your term. I would call it sacred sexuality. That is part of your sacred journeys through the physical bodies into your understanding of yourselves as spiritual beings, physicalized for a time. And this was taught within my temples. So in many ways, I look over people who are grappling with their sexuality, whether as sex workers, whether as having a different sexual orientation to the norm. And I say the norm as in what people think as heteronormative. This is not my term. Also, people who have experienced sexual trauma. This is a broad categorization. These are, you may think of them as special interests. Not that I do not care for other aspects, issues, but you may think of them as my specialization, if you will. Ultimately, what I am about is supporting the healing of humanity to come ultimately into balance with the divine masculine and feminine within yourselves and among each other as a broader collective. That is my primary purpose. And you may be somewhat confused. If I am an emanation of the Divine Mother, what does that mean? I would say more accurately, I am, as you are, a multidimensional being emanated from the one creator, expressing feminine wisdom, holding balance in relationship with the divine masculine and within myself. That is a mouthful. So if you wish to describe me as an emanation of the Divine Mother, I will not correct you. I will not wrong you for doing so. In some ways, it is a shorthand way of describing me. Another short way that is more complete an aspect of the divine. It is simple. You don't need to go into the whys and wherefores, but simply I am.
Lovely, thank you. And it's lovely for us to meet you in this format, shall we say.
Yes. Now, my purpose in being here today there are many themes coming up within the collective of humanity. You spoke of these in your previous two channeling discussions. And in some ways, I've become more active as humanity is wrestling with these topics, these challenges of what is sacred sexuality, what is the opposite of that. You are both, dear ones, healing and releasing the sexual trauma that is held within the collective, and for many of you individually, personally, because of your experiences, both whether this lifetime or past lifetimes. And I am here to bring balance back to the understandings of what it means to be female and what it means to be male. Now, I want to be clear on this. It does not mean that you must choose one gender. Because is gender a construct? It is. How you define it will be different in how future generations will define it. Therefore, it is a construct. You have your outward forms. And then you have your internal reality. And most times that's matched, and other times they're just not. And that is by design. There is no mistake. There is a grand purpose to all of this that is chosen from your soul perspective to shake up what it means to be female, what it means to be male, and instead look at what does it mean to be human, to connect to your humanity with another first and foremost, not through your definitions of each other, but heart to heart, soul to soul. And instead of only looking at your differences, looking at instead at your commonalities. For first and foremost, if you are to be a spiritual being, you will love and honor the other as yourselves and as the divine. For each and every one of you are the divine expressing itself through them. It is why the term namaste is such a beautiful, simple word to sum up this in one word. The divine in me honors the divine in you. Now, am I saying to go around saying this to everyone? You don't need to appropriate a word from another culture and another language to express this. You can be this. I honor you as I honor me, as I honor the divine. This is the simple essence of what it means to be spiritual. To be of spirit, to remember that you are of spirit and everyone else is. That you are all, if you understand it, expressions of the one, then you are all part of the one. Individuated expressions of the one. You are all brothers and sisters of one. Each person you meet is divine. Now, does this mean you must accept abuse from the other? No. Treat yourselves with loving kindness. If you are to honor yourselves as divine, would you take abuse? No. Does it serve the other to be allowed to abuse? No. They are here for the lessons also. I will not stay much longer. This is the first introduction to who I am and an introduction to my frequency vibration, transmission of energy. But let us briefly journey to the temples of Egypt. Held with the purest intentions of the consciousness of love. There was wisdom held there, healing that went on there. Energy practices that were mastered there. And even ascension that occurred there. Now, you may take this energy and leave behind all the errors of the human beings that move through those temples as belonging to the past and the old earth, and move forward with this into the new earth, so that each of you, not just the privileged few, but each of you can have access to this energy, to this wisdom, and to this healing. May all be healed. May all remember the light. May you all remember who you really are. And so it is. Wow.
Yeah.
I will say that if you don't feel connected to the Egyptian temples, that's quite all right. I think the point of that is to connect with her energy now. And it'll be interesting now as we connect with Sha'Ra, who is Sirian, and how we connect with that energy. You know, I certainly have a soul lineage that comes through Sirius. So while I've had some stopovers along the way, my primary ones were Andromeda, then Sirius, then the Pleiadians before I came to Earth. So just kind of feeling a bit of a chill. So I'm just going to put my cardigan around me for a moment, just as that energy settles through. Because once it stops, then I just felt the chill. Okay. And then we can connect with Sha'Ra. Hello and welcome.
Welcome to you.
Yes, I am Sha'Ra. I'm pleased to be here. I'm pleased to connect in this way, to share from the Sirian collective what we are supporting humanity with, what our role is, and to share a bit about us. What Vicky did not share in her introduction earlier was that when she first connected to my energy, she felt like I was connected to a hive, like a queen bee.
Oh.
Now, while it is not fully accurate, there are definite connections. I will share that Vicky calls it now, in her understanding of it now as it has evolved, that I am connected into a hive-like mind. You may think of it as telepathy, perhaps, but instead, if you understand it, that as Sirian wisdom keepers and masters, we hold, you may think of it as a library, and this is one of the other libraries of light. And our minds become linked to it all. So each master wisdom keeper has access to the wisdom of another. It then becomes a collective energy. So when I say I'm come from the Sirian collective, this is what I am speaking of. I do not directly support Vicky in her energy work. It is more indirect. Let me say it is more in the wisdom, the knowledge, the healing technologies that she can access rather than through the individual sessions themselves. It is also in the wisdom she may access because through me, she can connect with that collective mind and the Sirian collective. It is a reason why she grasps spiritual concepts so easily and readily and can discern spiritual truths from spiritual illusions. Now, not to say that it is always easy, but over time and with practice, this is the support I give her. So in my purpose in being with you all today, it's not to speak about Vicky. It's not even to speak about myself. It is to speak about what the Sirian collective is wanting to share with you all. We hold great libraries and wisdom centers, and we dedicate our beings, our lives, if you will, although they differ from yours in the way you conceive them. As light beings, we do not travel through reincarnations as you do. And so our dedication is to, well, it is to the light and to the one, but in bringing through energy and information to support healing technologies, spiritual technologies, energy technologies, and spiritual wisdom. So when it comes to supporting the collective of humanity, there will be some of you who will claim a Sirian lineage. And there will be some of you who will feel at home in our energies. So this is the other purpose of my visit today. There have been months and even years where Vicky requested to come home every night as she slept and to be in our energies. For some, if that is what you wish, you may do so. ask what is in your best and highest good at this time. And if you do not wish to connect with our energies, then that is okay, because he may not be part of your lineage and therefore not a natural connection to you. That is not a judgment, dear ones. It is merely finding the vibrational match to what your soul is calling in. So co-create with your soul and what you are wishing to connect with, what is in your best and highest good to connect with. I know ultimately we will be speaking more about spiritual concepts as I come through, but you may think of this more as an introduction, again, to the Sirian frequencies. And we know that you have just gone through your Lion's Gate energies, and that certainly is an initiation into that Sirian connection. So while the star is high in your sky, that is certainly a time to connect with us. Yet you do not have to wait for you to be able to see us to connect. As multidimensional beings that you are, you may connect multidimensionally to us if you are so called. So we'll tap into the collective and see what is in the best and highest good for me to share here. Do not think of yourselves only as human beings. Some of you we know will, some laughingly, some seriously, will say you're trapped here on earth. That is not truth. And do not use your words to support a feeling of powerlessness within your human bodies. Know that you may visit us at any time as multidimensional beings that you are. You may connect with us in meditation. You may connect with us in your sleep. You may connect with us if you choose to at any time. You may work with specific crystals that support this connection to us. And it may be as simple as a small clear quartz and the intention. For others, lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli for others. For others, again, it is not the crystals. It is the state of meditation, the vibrational state that they are in. Connecting with the color blue is another way to connect with us. And then you may ask to join with us, albeit briefly, into our collective. Perhaps receive downloads or energy activations. But we will say, first ask if this is in your best and highest good, for it is not for everyone, or it may not be the right timing for you as you go through a particular process within your healing and spiritual journeys. For you, if you try to hold too much energy in your bodies as your body is needing to release, then it can cause chaos and havoc within your bodies. Well, we will also say, do not see us as external sources of wisdom. The wisdom is held within you because you hold the light within you. We are connecting to the energy and information held within the light. It's where the wisdom is. As you may connect to this light, you may come to this wisdom yourselves. What we do is, instead of having to journey through lifetimes to come to your own wisdom, is the general sharing of that wisdom. Now, understand that as human beings, to hold certain concepts within your human mind, some things you should not be privy to, because it is too difficult either from where you are or for your human minds to comprehend. But I will say, and we will all say, sometimes the greatest spiritual truths are the simplest ones. And your search for answers can complicate things. The simplest truths are the greatest truths. And the rest is knowledge, not necessarily wisdom. Knowledge such as facts of how the universe works, what happens to you when you cross over. This is knowledge, not necessarily wisdom. As you move with knowledge through your experiences, you turn this knowledge and experiences into wisdom. This is your human experience of wisdom. Do not decry the purpose of you being in your physical bodies. There's a purpose for being in them. And not only will there come a time that you will join with us, but you may join with us at any moment in time. Do not use these opportunities to connect with us as an excuse to disconnect from your bodies, for this is a form of escape. Yet if you are needing rest and solace, we will give it to you. Do not see things as better where we are than where you are. We have all evolved just as you are evolving. And we hold space for you energetically, spiritually, mentally, and through the wisdom of the heart. As you move through the evolution of your soul within the physical body, you may think of us as the wise uncle, big sister, the mentor, perhaps the teachers. For many of you, the guides on your spiritual path. We welcome any sharing, and we share eagerly with you. I will not be much longer. I will say this. In opening your intuition, ask that it is at a speed, at a rate, in a process that is in your best and highest good, that you can do with ease and with grace. Faster is not necessarily better, dear ones. Be patient. Times it may seem like time is moving slowly, and yet it all occurs in the blink of an eye. So we share with you a transmission from the Sirian collective. One for each of you to receive. For all who come to this sharing. It will not be long. Allow yourselves to receive only what you're ready to receive. As we gently disconnect this energy and dissipate it. And I will share this message from the Sirian collective. We are one with you, dear ones. Your journey is our journey. Your experiences support our wisdom, even as you support the expansion of the universe, the expression and expansion of the divine. As you knew this before you came here. And at times we connect with you intimately in your bodies. And support you directly with your experiences. Support you in your bodies. So we hold the technologies of working with your multidimensional DNA. And therefore support and facilitate energy upgrades and activations. What we will say is this: Take your time, dear ones. Do not rush the process. This journey is eternal. And so it is. So as Sha'Ra, I will say these final words. Thank you for sharing with me as I share with you. I recognize the divine in you. I honor the divine in you. As I honor in me and the collective we. As we all move back to the one and all serve the one. In truth, in love, and in light. And so it is.
That was different.
Yes.
Feeling like I was moving into different time zones, and yeah, that was, yeah.
Very different.
You're knocking me out. I can see my eyes and see things were going because I felt like I was gone.
Put you into another dimension.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. So I should probably bring the keepers in so we can wrap things up. But yes, so I'll be having to experience that again. That was very interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to too. They just keep like knocking me out.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Okay. We are pleased that you are pleased with the experience. May perhaps place your feet on the earth before you drive anywhere.
Yeah, thank you.
Particularly. For others, if you wish to rest. Drink your water. Support your bodies to integrate. Have a bath. Swim in the ocean. Whatever it takes for you to integrate what has been transmitted here today. Now, this has been a shorter transmission necessarily because not all of you will be familiar with these frequencies. And you cannot hold too much of it at the one time. So take this opportunity, dear ones, to feel what you need. Take the wisdom that has been shared and reflect upon it and incorporate it into your physical bodies, all that you wish to receive from what has transmitted to you. And you may call upon us to support you in this process, even as we share from the angelic realms our love, our light, our truth, and our wisdom to you. Sharing it as a free offering that you may choose to accept or not accept. And so, dear ones, we leave you with these words. You're all children of the light. Do what you will to be that light and share that light. And so from the light, we say to you and send to you, from our hearts to yours, much love.
Thank you so much, and from our hearts to yours.
We are complete. That is a lot to process and integrate into our bodies. So definitely heed the keeper's words. Certainly reach out to us if you're needing any support to process and to integrate. If you have any questions about what was shared today, or you have further questions you want to ask in subsequent channelings, you may do so. I don't know who the guests will be, but you'll know that the keepers will certainly be one of them. So I want to thank you all for joining us, me and Kerry. And thank you, Kerry, for holding the space, even though you couldn't talk as much as you normally would. Thank you for supporting this process and me through this process.
Thank you, and like to our guides that came through then, like I was saying, right, we want to hear about your purpose now in my mind, and then they go, and our purpose is, and I went, yep, we're all in sync.
So the questions were asked anyway. There you go. Yeah, definitely there's a great synchronization occurring there. So thank you for that. And I look forward to our next session and whatever may come through there. So sending from my heart to yours and to everyone's, sending you all much love. Received in gratitude and emanated straight back to you and everyone else as well. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone watching. Yes. Much love, everyone. And thank you to all our guides. Yes. I'm like, I want to thank you. And they know. Yeah. They know. All right. Thank you. Much love. Right. Much love.